So welcome back to another client case study breakdown. In today's video, I'll share with you how we generated over $67,000 for this clients over the past 90 days from a combination of Facebook and Google ads. So stay tuned. My name is Justin and I'm the founder of Wizo Media, an e-commerce marketing agency specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying e-commerce growth. Before we get started, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, as well as turn on post notifications to be one of the first to know about these cutting edge e-commerce marketing tips posted on the channel every week. So let's get straight into it. So for this breakdown, a bit of an overview of what happened. You're gonna see at the top a triple wall screenshot because that's right, this client is actually currently on triple wall. So over the past 90 days, I'm calculating in that, from February 5th all the way up to May 5th. So the overall ROAS on Facebook is of 2.05. There is $32,000 spent on ads, so about a little bit over $10,000 a month, with a conversion value of $65,000 from that channel. So $65,638. And if you look at the bottom from Google ads, for some reason, there's been a little bit of a bug in these past couple of days. We just actually renamed the campaign, but it shows up on Triple and on Google Analytics as two different campaigns, which the old one doesn't have any spend, but all the spend is getting put on the new name. So anyways, I'm putting both screenshots on here just to kind of show you there's $383 spent on that campaign as a whole, with a little over $1,200 back from that. That's a very recent campaign, actually. It launched just a couple weeks back. I do believe it launched about 2 to 3 weeks back in April. So Facebook ROAS is of 2.05, and that accounts for cold and retargeting, and Google ROAS is of 3.29 so far on branded search. And now for comparing the client store as a whole in that period from the previous period, so the previous 90 days, or from last year. So previous period, which is what you see on the left, there's an update, or basically an upgrade, I guess, in 16%. So 16% increase in total sales volume. Same increase that we're actually seeing in average order value. Thing is, in that period prior, we were testing a product at $10 actually with that client. So a $10 product funnel, whereas we upped it essentially to a $12 product funnel. So already that helped a lot with AOV, as well as other tweaks essentially that we did, especially with the retargeting campaigns that focused more on their higher value products and more evergreen collections, which led to a bit of an increase in AOV, which again, you're seeing the same and similar increase in average sales volume. So comparing to the last year, because last year was a pretty rocky period for that client, what ended up happening during that period of last year is that they pretty much stopped spending on ads, or at least not a lot of spend was put on ads last year. So that ended up causing a big dip in revenue. So obviously it's normal to see that sales are higher this year, which shows a 74% increase in overall sales. Now, how we made that happen. So a little bit of a background story with that client. So right now I'm showing you 3 months. We've been actually working for 5 months with that client. First month was obviously pretty good, right? It was the mid-November all the way up to December. So a pretty good first month because obviously we're within Q4. Things got a little tricky, not gonna lie, within that second month. Why is that? Well, we started having a lot of issues with tracking and attribution, and pretty much Facebook was not reporting any sales for a big period of time. And also there's just a lot of targeting issues. We were not able to really tap into the same audiences as we were before. Audiences were dying out for some reason. It was a bit of a messy month. So from mid-December or so all the way to mid-January, it was honestly a little messy from all of these problems that we had with tracking, attribution, targeting. Also added to that, the fact that it was the end of Q4, beginning of Q1, which is usually slow for every e-commerce brand because people have bought, they're basically in depth with what happened during the Christmas period. So nobody really wants to buy also within that period. So we thought it was a perfect occasion to actually try and find some solutions to that period before things would get back up. So we put a lot of things into motion. The goal was to find a solution to their tracking problems and just also trying to help us make better decisions when it came to ads. That was, again, a huge issue because not only were we not seeing any attributions back on ads, but it was also becoming increasingly hard to optimize the ads because, again, the data was not attributed back to the right ads or sales, and the purchase conversion value itself was off for the most part. We were seeing some purchases with 0 or very small purchase conversion value numbers. So what we ended up trying back then was Commently, which is a tracking software used to, again, kind of help with attribution. It did not really work for us. It was a little better in some cases for some days. Some days it was absolutely worse than Facebook. So it was a lot of up and downs, honestly. So again, some days better, some days not. Then we had the unfortunate chance of actually the client talked with a Facebook rep, which essentially they talked with them early January 2022. And they told them, hey, you're having problems right now because your aggregated events are not, set up properly. You are not doing this the right way, and here's how to do it. So we had set up the events as an agency a little differently than what this client had before. And what these guys were saying at Facebook was that they should actually change their events to a bit of a similar structure to what they had before, but also, again, there was a little bit of changes that needed to be made, which led to an absolutely worst event match quality. It was horrible. We were at, I believe, around 8.4 prior to the changes in terms of event match quality for purchases, and then it went all the way down to a 6 as soon as they made the changes, which that just messed up all of the ads, and it was very hard to have accurate tracking within that period. So we changed it back to the aggregated event structure. And then this is right around the time that we came across TripleWell as a solution. We actually decided to install TripleWell, and they were telling us, as back then it was about a month and a half for them to really get going. It's basically what we saw, for the first month and a half, from January all the way to a solid, I would say mid-February, this is where we started seeing accurate results. But for the most part of the beginning, we were just as clueless as we were before in terms of optimizations that, if we would have checked the Facebook Ads Manager. And the last issue that we were facing with that client is that we had no luck with their evergreen product collections. They kind of had two offers, if you remember, two styles of offers going on. They had their evergreen product collections, which work amazingly well within their wholesale division. So this is what sells within their wholesale division. This is what they sell at bulk. It works amazingly well, and the average order value for those is really high. And on the other side, they had another collection which was a lot more discounted, and it's more with prints, with funny prints essentially on their products. So they're actually a fashion brand with with prints, different designs on their products. And this other collection that was discounted with more sort of, if you may, with more topics of actuality or funny jokes again on these products. That worked pretty well, but the evergreen products that we were trying to desperately focus on was not working at all. So what we started doing in February, as well as, so basically since February, right? A lot of these changes also occurred with time. So some of these changes here, I'm gonna break those down, happened in February, some in March, and then some in April. So first of all, finally, thank God, attribution started to get better. So again, around mid-February mark, this is really where we started seeing a shift in the attribution within TripleWell. Things started getting good, which allowed us to take better ad account decisions and make better optimizations as a whole. In some cases, we saw completely swapped out results, meaning let's say for a given campaign, there was ad 1 and ad 2. Maybe we were seeing on Facebook that ad 1 was performing great and ad 2 wasn't, but looking at TripleWell, it was actually a complete opposite. So we started optimizing from what TripleWell was telling us, which led to just an increase in results overall. Then the second thing that we did in early March is a complete 180 with the offer. We honestly could not make it work with the evergreen collection. We could not make it work with the same products that were actually working amazingly well within their wholesale division. So we decided to double down on what already worked, which were their discounted products with funny or prints of actuality on them. So we started focusing more on those, and then we came up within, I would say at the time of recording this video, within the past month and a half, of a different scaling strategy, which is more of a horizontal scale rather than vertical. Meaning instead of increasing budget on a single offer, a single funnel, and try and scale that and scale that and scale the budget again vertically within that same campaign, what we started doing is scaling with more offers of more of these funnels that we also scale vertically, if that makes sense. So what I mean by this is instead of having a single funnel with a single product or t-shirt or prints that we were advertising to on cold, and essentially that was our main driving force of sale. What we started doing is having maybe 2-3 different essentially prints and different funnels running simultaneously, having offers and traffic being pushed to all of these, and having all of these kind of working well at the same time. And then for retargeting, we were doing a little bit of retargeting actually for these funnels, but most of the retargeting was focused on these evergreen products that I mentioned earlier that were not working on cold. But again, we started doing retargeting for those, and turns out that our retargeting campaigns are now working much better and are getting, again, a much better margins on these retargeting campaigns because the AOV is higher. So we're now scaling with many different offers, again, instead of just one. So instead of having a single funnel, we're scaling with 2 or 3 funnels, again, simultaneously for that brand. So a bit of a takeaway for anybody watching this video is that, again, as you know, for basically every e-commerce store out there, depending, every e-commerce store that has a lot of SKUs, you usually get, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe up to 10 max, core products that actually sell. The rest doesn't sell as well. Those are not your best sellers. They're more complementary products. And that's the same thing that we found with them, is that there was this core sort of offer and type of products that they had that sold very well. So we doubled down on that on cold. And the ones that worked, a little less as good as these, or especially not as good on cold, we started pushing those more on retargeting to try and have some more upsell and cross-sell opportunities. And that proved to work very good for these guys. And as of, again, the past 2 weeks or so, we're expanding to new platforms. So right now we're testing out Google. Essentially, we just started branded search on Google, and we're looking to get into Google Shopping. Actually, right now we're just waiting for the products to be verified on there with the Google Merchant Center, and then we'll get going with this. So we're looking to expand also to Google and try and make the same offers work on Google, so that way we can kind of scale on both channels simultaneously. Obviously, Google, you're a little bit more capped in terms of scaling capabilities, but nonetheless, it's still another good channel to add to an overall marketing strategy, and it helps us diversify the traffic sources. So again, overall, as a recap, within these past 90 days, we spent a little over $32,000 for that client, brought back, again, a little over, somewhat close to $67,000 total if we account for Google and Facebook revenue, for both platform ROAS of 2.05 on Facebook and 3.29 on Google. Now, if you're an e-commerce brand or store owner making at least $20,000 to $30,000 a month with your brand, I invite you to click on the first link in the description down below to book in a very short 15-minute demo call with our team. On that call, we'll take a look at your brand and see if you're a good fit for e-commerce marketing programs. And if that's the case, then we'll end up helping you scale. And if not, then worst comes to worst, we'll just leave you with a free action plan to implement on your own. So on that note, make sure you check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-commerce marketing tips. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.